Hello, this is Crystal Stanich, and thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be reading from the beginning of Julie Caplin's The Northern Lights Lodge. Chapter 1. Bath. I'm afraid there's still nothing. Like I said last week, and the week before. You have to understand it's a difficult time. The economy isn't great. People aren't moving around as much. This was said with a mealy-mouthed, pseudo-sympathetic smile and shark-like small eyes that slid away from meeting Lucy's, as if being unemployable was catching. Difficult time? Hello? Lucy was currently writing the bloody book on it being a difficult time. She wanted to grab the recruitment consultant by the throat and shake her. Instead, she shifted in her seat opposite the other woman in the brightly lit office, with its trendy furniture and state-of-the-art Apple Mac screen taking up most of the desk, trying to look serene instead of utterly panic-stricken. The other girl was now dubiously eyeing Lucy's lackluster blonde hair, which hung in limp rat's tails, unable to hide an expression of horrified curiosity. Lucy swallowed and felt the ever-present tears start to well up. You try styling hair that's been coming out in handfuls for the last 3 weeks, she thought. She didn't dare wash it more than once a week because seeing the plug hole full of blonde strands seemed even more terrifying than all the other crap going on in her life right now. Things must be bad when your own hair started jumping ship. Lucy could feel her lip curl. Oh God, any minute she might snarl like a wild animal. It was increasingly tricky to try and behave like a normal human being these days. And, at this moment, a particular challenge as she looked back across the desk at the girl sitting there in her cherry red, fitted power suit with her perfect glossy bob and darling plum gel nails. The epitome of success. What someone looked like when they were going places. When their career was on the up, rather than going down the Swanee faster than a canoe going over the Niagara Falls. With a sigh, Lucy swallowed hard and forced herself to calm down. For the last 20 minutes, she'd fought the temptation to grab little Miss Professional by the lapels and plead, "There must be jobs somewhere for me." She'd had to resort to sitting on her hands with her shoulders hunched up by her ears, as she listened to the same spiel that she'd heard in the last 10 other recruitment consultant offices. The market was down. People weren't recruiting. No one had a career for life these days. And they didn't need to bloody tell Lucy that. She'd discovered that inconvenient fact the hard way. But, whined the persistent voice in her head, she was looking for a job in hospitality. The whine became shriller and more insistent. There were always jobs in hospitality. Perhaps if you could. The girl tried to give her an encouraging smile, which didn't disguise her raging curiosity. You know, get some more recent references? Lucy shook her head, feeling the familiar leaden lump of despair threaten to rise and choke her. The girl tried to look sympathetic, while taking a surreptitious glance at her watch. No doubt she had an infinitely more placeable candidate for her next appointment. Someone whose CV was dripping with recommendations from her last boss and hadn't had her shame shared among all in her professional world. There must be something. Desperation chased the words out, with the glee of naughty fairies escaping. I don't mind taking a step down. You've seen how much experience I've got. She heard herself utter the fateful words, which she'd promised herself, no matter how bad things got, she wouldn't say. I'll take anything. The girl arched her eyebrow as if wanting her to elaborate on anything. Well, almost anything, said Lucy, suddenly horribly aware that anything covered an awful lot of situations, vacant or otherwise, and this woman's income was derived from placing people. Well, there is one thing. She gave an elegant shrug. Now Lucy regretted the almost anything. What was she opening herself up to? She didn't know this woman. How could she trust her? And if you would like to know what comes next, you can check this title out on the Libby app. Please join me here next week as I read from the beginning of Love at the Northern Lights. We are doing a Northern Lights theme as this year's winter reading theme. You have until the end of January if you would like to join that challenge. Sign up on the Reader Zone app and log 400 minutes by the end of January for a chance to read and win. We have 2 Kindle Fires that we're giving away, one to the adults and one to the teens. And then the children's department has a winter themed gift basket. Have a great week.